everyone, and welcome back to the United Star. I've got Neeraj with me, and we are taking on Liverpool. It is Derby Day. The world stops and watches this game, apparently, and we've given them a Snoozefest, haven't we, Neeraj, in the last few games?
Definitely. The last few games have not been interesting at all. Few of them have ended up as draws. So, really hoping that this game is a lot better, a lot more entertaining with the two attacking sides being there. Just hope that it's a lot more better than the previous games. And, of course, we can end up on the winning side because we haven't done that for a long time at Old Trafford.
Right. But Neeraj, you said two attacking teams, but it doesn't seem Liverpool attack much these days, does it?
It's hard to figure out. They are attacking, but for some reason they don't get the end ball through. And when the ball does come in, we've seen Mane, Firmino, and Salah to an extent fluff great chances. So they are attacking, they are creating, they have possession of the ball, but just not getting the goals in for some reason. I think a loss of confidence for all three forwards, and especially Firmino and Mane.
Right. So what do you think is behind this sort of huge dip, I'd say, because out of all competitions, top four looks doubtful right now. So what do you think is behind this huge dip? And don't say it's injuries, because I think we've moved past that a little bit.
No, I would say injuries, but you can't go on saying injuries for so long because you could have said that in Jan, Feb, but have moved past that stage. We have to adapt at some point of time, and we haven't done that. Probably the dip in form in Jan and Feb could be attributed to injuries, but it's been too long now. We know that Van Dijk hasn't been there for the whole season. Gomez hasn't been there. Matip hasn't been there. We've got a steady back line in the form of Kabak and Phillips coming in. So we should definitely be doing a lot better. And I don't think injuries can be attributed as the reason for the loss in form of Firmino and Mane as well. So it's just hard to understand what has happened, how they've just fallen off grace so quickly. Because at the end of 2020, we were still at the top, or in the top two at least for sure. And the turn of the year and everything just fell apart all of a sudden. So it's very hard to understand why. One reason which I could say is Jota was actually really firing in goals in November, December last year, and his injury proved to be vital because he was not available till almost mid-March, and there was nobody to come in off the bench. So we've clearly seen that the lack of options on the bench has also been one of the major reasons. We've not been able to call upon the likes of Shaqiri and Origi with the same confidence that some of the other teams, for example, City or Chelsea, can call on someone like Pulisic of the bench or Ziyech of the bench, and you know the options that City does have. And United also not all that bad. Greenwood's coming off the bench, Cavani's coming off the bench when Martial's playing. So the lack of options on the bench is also one of the major reasons for sure.
I think as from a Manchester United perspective, I can say that I think the lack of options has sort of ensured that we aren't in the FA Cup semi-finals and then obviously the finals now, because I think there aren't enough players, there aren't enough replacements. Obviously, Van der Beek, the mystery, the curious case of Donny Van der Beek is not going to be solved anytime soon. Martial, well, he's as much as an option as the next person on walking in probably Manchester. So he's no good anymore. It's sort of the squad depth, like you said, the squad depth that City have, for example, is ridiculous, and no team in the Premier League can match that. And it shows that the difference between Manchester United and Manchester City right now is 10 points. And I think it entirely reflects the squad depth. I think the first 11 of both teams are competent enough to sort of fight it out. And I think sort of if you had told me at the start of the season after we lost to Palace and all of that, after we lost to Spurs, that we'd be second and have an outside chance at a title race at some point in the season, I think I'd have taken it because we saw the problems with the team. Oli has, I think, rallied the troops very well and done, I think, fantastically. So I think from a United perspective, things are good. And I could say even that, Neeraj, would you agree that sort of this game actually is way more important for Liverpool than United, because y'all conceded that late goal in the last game as well, 1-1, so couldn't get the 3 points there. So how crucial are these 3 points, keeping aside the derby as well?
Absolutely. I think you're spot on there because this match doesn't really matter so much for United because you just told that it's a very slim chance that you have for the title, which I don't think you really believe in at the moment. And also, I don't see you guys slipping up so much to fall behind Leicester, because they have tough fixtures coming up. The last 4 games are pretty difficult. It's some of the top sides that they're playing. Albeit those sides are not in form, but they still do have to play these guys. So it doesn't matter so much for United as such, except for the flavor of the derby. And of course, you can deny us a chance of getting into the top 4. A win for United means we're almost out. Even if Leicester and Chelsea have tough fixtures, we're not getting there if we don't win this game, for sure. Because it's not like we've just gone past the other sides. Every game is difficult. Every game is a cup final for us. All 5 games will be cup finals. And no game is going to be easy the way we've been playing. It's not that if we're playing Newcastle or a Brighton or a Burnley, it's going to be an easy game for us. So it's extremely important for us. Also, considering that we didn't beat Newcastle, we dropped 2 crucial points virtually with the last kick of the game. This is extremely, extremely important. Nothing but a win would be any good for us. Maybe a draw will get us some momentum and we can probably go on to win the next 4 games. But we're hoping a lot to go in our way for Chelsea and Leicester to slip up and go below us. So extremely important for us. For United, it's all about spoiling Liverpool's chances of getting into the top 4. And I don't think United would have a much better game than this heading into the derby.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic because I think coming off that victory against Roma 6-2, we could actually just play the kids against Liverpool and then imagine we beat Liverpool with the kids and Liverpool don't make the top 4, and then we go Thursday back to Italy and sort of secure the win there and go to the final. I think it'd be the perfect sort of 1 week run for a Manchester United fan. And I think it's possible because I think Liverpool are definitely there for the taking. I think defensively they've been leaky. Alisson has not been sort of on top form as he was in the last 2 seasons. Trent is getting back to form, but I think again defensively there's a hole to be exploited there. The midfield, we don't know where Fabinho is going to play for this game. It makes a big difference where he plays. So I think Liverpool are there for the taking, and I think Oli will want to win this game. I don't see much of a rotation. But what do you think?
Absolutely.
What do you think, Neeraj? What will
No,
be?
no, it's
But before we move to United's 11, what do you think Liverpool's 11 will be? And is it time to finally just accept that Bobby Firmino is not a good striker and you need to drop him?
it's not that he's not a good striker. We know what type of a player he is. He has always been that way. He's not been someone who's selfish and he scores a lot of goals. He's almost a number 10 for us, playing as the number 9. So he's basically that false 9 who keeps falling behind. Previously, he was linking up play pretty well, getting a lot of assists. And even if he was not getting those assists, he was helping Salah and Mane score goals. Where we're seeing a huge gap is Mane isn't playing that well, and that's also rubbing onto Firmino at the moment. So Bobby at the moment, I think definitely has to be benched, and Jota has to come in. We're seeing that happen in the last few games, but that's not helping either because Mane is absolutely out of form, and he just cannot get a goal. Even with the tap in, there is a fear that he might just skate over the crossbar. So Mane out of form, Firmino out of form, Jota not in the best of form. We're basically dependent on Salah to pull something off because our midfielders don't contribute with goals at all. And Trent and Robbo haven't been that creative this year. So that's also another reason why we've struggled. We haven't seen the same number of assists from both of them. The chances created from them hasn't been the same as we've seen it over the last 2-3 seasons. That's also another reason why we've been struggling. I don't really see much hopes in this game, to be very honest. I'm actually pretty fearful. I think this is one of the games where we're definitely going in as the team to be beaten after a long time. Like, we've always been excited about United Liverpool games over the last 3 years because we've always felt that we're probably better than United, or at least on par, if not better, over the last 3-4 years. This time, I really think that we're there to be taken. And seeing the Roma game a couple of days back, I don't think Solskjaer is going to rest anybody. He has a 4-goal lead to go to Italy. So I don't think he's going to get anybody rested. He's just going to play his full front first 11 and go for it. And we really could be seeing a hammering at the moment. And I really don't want to watch the game because that's how fearful I am.
Right. So Neeraj, what would you sort of be your predicted 11 for this then?
It's not like we have too many options at the moment. It's not like we have so many players to call upon, and options to juggle. So obviously Allison would be in goal. You'll see the same back four. I really hope someone can fill in at centre back and Fabinho can play at holding mid, because that makes a huge difference for us. Fabinho being in holding mid, allowing the two other midfielders to go up and play rather than having Wijnaldum or Thiago hold the midfield. So if that happens, we'll stand a better chance. But unfortunately, we have so many injuries at the back, and Fabinho is playing at centre back. So if Fabinho plays at centre back, then you have very limited options. It's Thiago, Wijnaldum, and probably Milner. I don't think Keita should be picked for such an important game, and I would rather trust Curtis Jones to do a little bit more than Keita the way he's been playing. And obviously, the front three, we have four options to choose from. I hope Jota plays and Firmino is benched. Firmino can be a good option when probably players are tiring 55th, 60th minute. He can come on if we are really searching for a goal, either in midfield or.
Firmino will come on as a centre back or as a striker, because he's apparently good at defending, no?
He can defend from the front, so he will definitely come on from the front. Maybe he can play at that number 10 role. So he will come in. I really hope that's the 11 that we can see.
Right. So I think from a United perspective, Oli might just start the same 11 he played against Roma. I mean, obviously De Gea would swap out for Dean Henderson, because that seems the pattern now. So possibly Dean Henderson, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, of course, Luke Shaw, and then McTominay and McFred, the Scott McTominay and Fred in the middle, with Bruno, Pogba on the left, Rashford on the right, and Cavani on up front. The only variation I see on this is that he somehow decides to drop one of McTominay and Fred, which I don't see happening, and plays Greenwood on the right. But I think he might just start the same 11 and then play the likes of Greenwood and Van de Beek and Matic and Mata in the Europa game against Roma, because that would suit us very well. Players would get a rest as well in the midweek game, and they'd be up for the Premier League again the next week. So I think Oli might just pick the same 11. I wouldn't be surprised. And yeah, I think Liverpool are there for the taking. Like I said, I mean, you should. I mean, you rightly said that sort of there are a lot of holes in the team right now, and even the things that were working and the players that are fit aren't sort of performing the way they used to. So Neeraj, what do you think is going to be the score for this game?
Really don't want to say it, but I think it's going to be 3-1 United. I mean, if that doesn't happen, if we can end up with a win, nothing like it, but I don't really see us getting anything out of this game. And on your point, I think Ole could probably go and pick Greenwood and just say, go for it, guys. You have goals there that are there for the taking. So I think Greenwood could be a good option to start as well, since Liverpool's defense is struggling, especially with the midfielders not contributing as well as they did in the past. So I think Greenwood could start. Whatever it is, I think 3-1 is the score that I'm expecting. 3-1 or 2-1. If it's a slightly defensive game, 2-1. If United go for it being at home, 3-1.
So that's a bold prediction here from a Liverpool fan, conceding defeat before the first ball has even been kicked. Mo Salah probably has something to say about that. But
he might get a goal, but his goals are just not enough. Like, nobody else is contributing. He is getting goals. He got goals now and then, but that's just one out of many that we actually need. So
right,
that seems bleak for us at the moment.
So I think I don't need to make a prediction for this one. I think Neeraj just made one for both of us. And I would be happy to take his scoreline 2-1, 3-1, whatever it may be. I think, hopefully, like we said, it's not a snooze fest. The world apparently is watching this derby, and we don't put up a very good show most of the times. So
I wouldn't mind a snooze fest, actually. I wouldn't mind a snooze fest being a 1-0 victory, because that's how we were playing against Newcastle. I wouldn't mind it being a snooze fest as long as we can get a win. A win is just what matters for us at the moment. It doesn't matter how it
Neeraj,
comes.
your manager will say that this is not football then, isn't it?
That's Klopp, okay.
Jose does it and Simeone does it, it's not football. But if Klopp does it, he's just adapting, isn't it?
No, Klopp's not going to go in with that mentality. It's just that the players are not doing enough to make it seem like not a snooze fest. It's just that players are just dreadfully out of form. So it ends up being a snooze fest just because we're not playing that well. So I wouldn't mind us not playing well, just nicking the odd goal, like United have done in the past, over the past 2-3 years, nicking the goal when the team didn't expect it. So I wouldn't mind that. I just hope something like that does happen. It doesn't matter if it's a 7-0 or a 1-0 for us. Win is what matters. I wouldn't get 7 goals for sure. It would take us 5 games to get those 7 goals, but I wouldn't mind a 1-0 for sure.
Right. So, guys, you heard it from Neeraj. He is not looking forward to this derby, and I think that's a great feeling to have as a Manchester United fan. Because, of course, Liverpool have had two very good seasons, but I think they're slowly and very surely progressing back to their hole where they won't be found for the next 30 years, hopefully.
That's not going to be the case. You guys are not doing any better. It's just that you're in the Europa League final. Just count back and see when you last won your Premier League title or your UCL. So it's okay. It's just one season where you're finishing second. Maybe you might win the Europa League. But let's see. Let's see you guys progress in the Champions League, get to semi-finals at least, and also be there in a proper title race, not a foolable title race like this where you're just finishing second, 15 points behind City. Be in an actual title race and then start talking. You guys have been invisible for 7-8 years now.
It's better than being invisible for 30, isn't it?
But we are visible right now. We've won titles in the last few years, so that's okay. You might also be invisible for 30 years. You never know. We did win a Champions League in that.
I was thinking that this was going to end amicably, and Neeraj was just going to accept that even for 30 years they aren't going to do anything. But clearly that's not the case. Thanks, Neeraj, for joining us. Guys, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it. We'll see you all soon. Let's see what happens, and we'll be back with the review. Thanks for watching.
Thank you, guys.